You know, I'm sorry. This is hot. I thought it might be cold in here, but it's not. There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, Renee. So, we have gone through a major season, right? Advent. We went through Advent, preparing for the arrival of something. And then came Christmas. Christmas was acknowledging the awakening of that inner Christ consciousness. The birth of the Christ child is the birth of recognizing that inner child Christ consciousness that's within each and every one of us. Then we went through the burning bowl that we actually do shredding bowl around here. And what was that about? That was about releasing, letting go of the things that no longer served us. That was the letting go part. And then white stone, that was last week, right? Was white stone last week? My goodness, I'm losing track of time here. The white stone, what was that? So you've done all of this preparing, you've done the releasing, you're acknowledging that there's a Christ child in me, then you do the releasing, and then the white stone is what? You get a clean slate. You get a clean slate. And this is the piece where you are stepping into transformation. Romans 12:2 says, be not conformed to this world. What does that mean? Do not comply to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We said this over and over last Sunday, so somebody's listening. By the renewing of your mind. Now what? We got a clean slate. Many of you received a word on your white stone. Now what? Just look at that stone every day? What? I want to tell you a story of Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, right? Many of you know her story, but just to refresh your memory, she was raised fundamental Methodist, and she was raised to believe that she was frail and that she was of ill health from a small child on, and it was because she was diagnosed with tuberculosis. So her family treated her as if she were on her deathbed, basically. Now, as Myrtle became an adult and met up with Charles Fillmore, and they married, and they happened to go, we're talking in the 1890s, to a lecture by E.B. Weeks, who was a homeopathic doctor. And in this lecture, Myrtle heard him say that to the audience, you are a perfect child of God, therefore you cannot inherit illness. I want to say that again. You are a perfect child of God, therefore you cannot inherit illness. Can you imagine what that felt like to Myrtle Fillmore, who all her life believed she was frail, she was diseased, and was going to die at a young age, and hear somebody tell her that? Can you imagine what that felt like to her? This story, what happens here? Now, let me go on further. So Myrtle decides she's got nothing to lose but take on this statement. And she takes it on literally, not just by words, but by action. She's now got 2 or 3 children at this time, and she moves her mother-in-law in with them so that she can be of service to the family while Myrtle goes into meditation for hours every day. Hours. To do nothing but say, meditate, and affirm that she is a perfect child of God, therefore she cannot inherit illness. I am a perfect child of God, therefore I cannot inherit illness. This didn't happen overnight. This took a long time for her, years, to be able to keep doing this as the practice. Unity is a practice, and that's what she was doing. She was practicing these affirmations, not just giving them lip service, but meditating over them. And she eventually healed herself of tuberculosis. That is a story of chemicalization. I'm going to give you another one here. There's a friend of mine. She's in her late 80s, and she's been in a what I would call a toxic relationship for about a little over 20 years. And she has believed for 20 years that things might change. He'll change. I just got to stick with this. He'll change. He's either going, but now she's in her late 80s, and now she's starting to believe she's stuck here. She's stuck. She's too old to do anything different. But something she heard somewhere along this way in the last couple of years awakened her to her spiritual truth. Now, I'm going to back up to Myrtle Fillmore. When she heard E.B. Weeks make that statement, "You are a perfect child of God," something awakened in her. And it awakened a truth that she always knew as a child, that she was a spiritual being and that she could inherit. She could not inherit illness if she were perfect. So now back to my older friend. Something she heard awakened her to the spiritual truth that she knew. Whenever that was, that she knew it. And she said, "I'm a perfect child of God. I do not have to live this way. I can be free from this." And in her late 80s, leaves this so-called stuck relationship and is living free. She is free. That is another example of chemicalization, and I'm going to go into this more because this is an important unity lesson, and it's an old term. For any of you old timers, you have heard the word chemicalization coming from a unity pulpit somewhere. And the unit comes from a unity pulpit because unity uses the works of Emily Cady, and this comes from her writings called Lessons in Truth. And Emily Cady was also one of the homeopathic doctors in the time of E.B. Weeks. There were many metaphysicians that were arising. There was the whole transcendental movement was about to really blow up in this time frame, and people were drawn to this because it was hitting something in the truth that they knew down deep. So in this, Emily Cady talks about this word chemicalization as a spiritual thing that goes on with us. But I want to show a quick video here of science and the term chemicalization. And so this is an example of science project chemicalization, where there are 4 beakers of water and they add food coloring, different colors, 4 different colors. So you can see, I think there's 4, there might be 5 beakers. Anyway, they're different colors. And then they are going to add baking soda. Baking soda is a neutralizer. And so they swish the baking soda. And then the next step is they'll add vinegar. Different amounts. Start with a little vinegar in beaker number 1, a little more. I'm going to just be quiet and let you just see this little 1-minute video. On this, if we can. Nothing's going on, right? It's a neutral. And we're going to stir it up a little bit, mix it up. Still no chemical reaction. Now the vinegar. Small amount. There's a little reaction. A little more vinegar. Oh, bigger reaction. Oh, oh! Yep. So you can see what an acidic product does adding this to a neutral, but to a alkali. I'm going to get these terms confused. I knew I would. I need Sandy up here to give me the science term. Anyway, why am I showing you this? Yep, we won't go to, yes, there it is. And I had to draw this because I couldn't find one to explain to you what's going on here. But this process, that vinegar chemicalization science project, is the same thing that goes on in you. That's what Emily Cady was talking about. We have a chemicalization that takes place in our bodies every time we take in negative thought patterns, every time we take in stressors, every time we listen to or stay in negative talk. Okay, my friend who was older was staying in a situation of negativity, 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 and look what goes on in our physical bodies because there is an acidic value to negative thinking. Do you believe that? Yes. Absolutely. Why do we get stomach aches? Why do we need Tums every now and then? Right? So it's not only because of what foods we ate, but it's also because of what's going on internally in the body. So what you're seeing there is exactly that top line, divine mind, divine ideas. That happened last Sunday at Whitestone. You were given a clean slate. Many of you received a word. That was your divine mind, your divine ideas giving you that. Now, you're starting to move into transformation. This is what's happening in the narrowing, okay? So you are, right as it starts to narrow, this is where transformation is really starting to begin. As you get into that, I'm going to call it that tunnel, okay? And you already saw the baby. So this is also likened to a birth canal, okay? Once that baby, once that divine idea, this transforming thought that you are having, since you've gone through all of this, Advent, Christmas, releasing and creating a clean slate, as you're going through that, it gets a little messy. This is where the vinegar can start to happen. Okay, this is where people tell you you can't. Who do you think you are? You can't make a living doing that. This is where you start to get judgment of yourself, other people's opinions, whatever it is. And this is where, can you see how I've got arrows going down and arrows going up? Because this is the part that gets really bubbled up, and depending on how much acidic you're allowing in depends on whether you're going to try to back up. And anybody that's birthed a baby, can you back it up? No, you can't. What happens if you try to? It's not good. But if you allow yourself, now this is where, let's just go to that baby real quick, right? Look, perfect, divine mind, divine ideas, and look what it's got to get through, right? Okay, but once you get through it, what? Oh, there's a baby, right? It's the same thing, back to chemicalization again, Sandy, thank you. It's the same thing when you get out of that bubbling. What happens? If we would have watched the rest of that film, you would have seen that everything eventually starts to neutralize. But it takes time. It takes time. And once you allow yourself that part, transformation really starts to take hold on this. Transformation by the renewal of my mind. I want you to look at that. I think there was the next one. We got the baby, and then here, right? It doesn't feel good in that narrowing. But as spiritual beings, where you are trying to do transformation in your life, and whatever that is, because each one of you are dealing with whatever it is that you're wanting to transform this year, it is key to be spiritually in right thinking. That's the neutralization. Okay, that is the Tums that will neutralize the acid in your stomach. Does that make sense? Okay, that's why I'm saying this is, to me, is an important lesson. So let's go on to that next one. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we had that. Thank you. She's on it. Okay. Imbalance and balance. Okay? So what puts us in balance? Life. Life. Who doesn't have this? What's in balance in your life right now? Is there anything going on in your life that is in balance? Now, it can be physical, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, but is there some imbalance? And what happens, right? But when we're in balance, physical well-being, emotional peace, look at that, mental clarity, spiritual life growth. I gotta breathe a minute, because this to me is a big lesson. Over here on the life where there's more stones, this is the stressors in your life. And you are going through a chemicalization. And it's okay, because we're human beings and we're having a human experience, and stressors are going to hit us. Now, what do you do to get out of these stressors? Let's look at that next slide. Wellness. How about that? Where are you on the wellness? You know what? I'm going to go back a minute, because I want to share this with you. We all have imbalances. We all have stressors, right? Barb Frederick shared this with me just yesterday, and I wrote it down, and said to Barb, I'm going to share this tomorrow. When the acidic, okay, when the vinegar, when life comes at us, and it will every day, okay, say to yourself, you might want to write this down. I'm going to say it slowly, and you're going to want to, I'm going to repeat it. Say to yourself, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Don't go into judgment. And then say, I just don't know. Nothing is wrong. I just don't know. Now think about that. Think about something that really can get you stirred up inside. Nothing is wrong. I just don't know. Think about a doctor's appointment. Think about a possible diagnosis, a possible surgery coming up. Nothing is wrong. I just don't know. This is how you calm yourself down. This is how you neutralize the acid in your stomach. This is how your steps are to claim divine order. Do you believe in divine order? Yes. Honestly, do you believe in divine order, or do you think it's just a unity term that's a bunch of BS? Be honest with yourself. Truly, be honest with yourself. Because if you really do claim divine order, then these two statements make sense. You're trusting the universe that there is a greater plan. We believe that everything out there that's coming at us is real, and it is not. The only thing that is real is that never changes. And the only thing that never changes is what? Love. Love. This is a part of the Course in Miracles. Love never changes. Everything else does. Ooh. So I'll go back to the wellness thing because I think it's important. And I love this. I normally talk about spiritual wellness and a whole wellness has to do with mental, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, right? We have 4 natures. But I love that they've added 2 things to this. And one is what? Social and environmental. Social. I'm telling you, I'm speaking not so much to you, but I am speaking to those who are struggling to get out of COVID and get out and be social. We have become so succumbed to jammies at 7 o'clock at night, and we don't go out anymore and socialize. You were born to be social. We're human beings are made to be social. And it's a struggle to get out and be with a group, to try to make new friends, to try new things. Oh, I love the song you picked, Sarah. You know, that just let me be who I am, right? But find your group, find your people, right? And what's that other one on the other side? Environmental. Yes. Pay attention to what toxins you're putting in your body. Read the labels on your food. If it says corn syrup, put it away. Right? It's bad for us. We know it. What does it? Dye. We've known that for a long time. So, I mean, you know what your environmentals are. So pay attention to this, because when you are well, or basically pretty well in these areas, then the acid can't get to you as easy. Does that make sense? The vinegar can't get to you as easy because you are prayed up, you're suited up, and you're showed up for success. If you want to, I want to say this, if you want to thrive in 2025, and that is our saying, is it not? Unity says we're going to thrive in 2025. If you want to thrive in 2025, then we must, this is a quote from Emerson, stand guard at the portal of your mind. Stand guard at the portal of your mind. What does that mean? Stand guard before you let it in, and you decide whether it gets in or not. Stand guard. That's how you're going to thrive in 2025. Stand guard at the portal of your mind. For in order to do that, that's how transformation will take root. Not just be a word on a stone or lip service. To really birth, we have to get thinking rightly, as Catherine Ponder would say. Let's go to that next slide. Perfect for Energy Healing Sunday, isn't it? Balance. When you can get your centers in balance. Why do they tell a mother to breathe when she is birthing a baby? Now, they don't just tell her to breathe. They tell her what? Push. Breathe, meaning relax, but you've got to do an action in order to get that birth. It's the same way with our personal transformations. Breathe is important. Relaxation is important. Getting centered is extremely important. But it doesn't mean that you sit all day long waiting for transformation to happen. You've got to push. You've got to do the action step. And that's practice. Does that make sense? I hope that some of this makes sense to you. Because I worry about metaphysical malpractice, that I call it. Everything's good. Everything's fine. No, it's not. Hey, it's not. But whether you let it have power over you is the key. We talk all the time in classes, Sandy and I both, as to honor what's coming at you, acknowledge it, but don't give it power. It has no power over you. Be a watcher at the portal of your mind. Nothing is wrong. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in our world in the next, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right now. Do you? I don't know what's going to happen this week. I don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know what's going to happen over in Gaza. You know, have you been following that? Yes, there is a ceasefire. No, I don't think there will be. I'm not there. Blah, 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 blah. I just don't know. Nothing is wrong. I just don't know. I trust divine order. Let's say our affirmation that I wrote this week. Ready? As I move towards a new way of being, I acknowledge that I must remain centered foremost in spirit so that resistance will cease. Ooh, that's a good one. Let's say it again, if I do say so myself. As I move towards a new way of being, I acknowledge that I must remain centered foremost in spirit so that resistance will cease. How does that feel? So that vinegar won't have any power over me. Namaste. That Christ presence, that peaceful presence, that spiritual truth in me sees and honors that spiritual essence and that spiritual truth in each and every one of you. Namaste.